Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the movie Rebel Moon on Netflix. And I did not like this movie. I think that I don't like Zack Snyder movies. Which is kind of weird because I liked Dawn of the Dead, and I liked 300. But after that, it's just been like, okay, these really aren't for me, and this one kind of cemented it for me. Because I understand that this was made to be his kind of like Star Wars kind of take, and it's definitely got Star Wars, Dune, Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai going on, and a little bit of the weird kind of Matrix kind of shit at the end. But this movie is like 2 hours and 15 minutes is what it says runtime wise. That includes credits and everything. But it felt like an elongated thing of like the first 30 minutes of another movie. Like, it's just mainly exposition dumps and the gathering of the heroes. And that's about it. And I didn't get pulled into it really that much at all because it kind of is your usual kind of shtick with this. Mother World is the kind of home base of the Imperium, which goes out and conquers all this stuff. The king and queen and royal family have been killed, and this senator dude has taken over as regent and is sending out to conquer other kind of worlds and everything, and there's a small resistance kind of band. Now, that in and of itself isn't horrendous. It's just not executed in any kind of way that's interesting to me. It's just your basic kind of stuff. Now, granted, it's not completely and utterly executed horribly. I've seen stuff done worse. I've rented, like, movies from Hollywood Video. Like, there's one where it was just so weird and just so, like, not worth it. I was just like, nah, I'm okay. We didn't watch it. We're just like, we fast-forwarded there to see what the fuck was kind of going on. And it was just like, no. So I didn't do that here. There's interesting and intriguing kind of stuff going on, but it really just bogs down into plot demands, and we get flashbacks, but then we also get Zack Snyder doing action scenes with multiple cuts and slow-mos that aren't really needed there, and blaster fire with lens flare that just makes it too bright in certain instances. It's just like, what the fuck's kind of going on here? I just did not like the action scenes, and the thing is, I think I would have enjoyed them better if they, like, didn't do the Zack Snyder kind of stuff going on with it. It's like, okay. Alright, so we pretty much get the lowdown on what's kind of going on. What's his name? Belisarius. He's the regent kind of dude. So we get all that kind of stuff going on. We get introduced to Velt and Cora, who's like tilling the land and everything. She's working out with it. We find that she crash landed in some kind of ship, and then she's still technically an outsider, but if she doesn't want to be an outsider, she should marry one of the people that's pretty much like a really great hunter kind of thing. It's like, alright, typical kind of thing. Alright, cool. I'm kind of alright with this. And then we see that one of the Imperium comes from above. We get Admiral Noble coming down, trying to figure out what's going on, and evidently one of the people had supplied food to the rebels, and that the head kind of dude is trying to be like, let's keep quiet, stay out of this as much as possible. If we can give him anything, we give him anything, but we've only, like, he's just trying to keep cagey, like, alright. Cora's like, listen, watch out, they take everything. It's like, alright. And we get the head dude killed by Atticus Noble. Not Atticus Noble? Yes. And that the band of rebels are led by Devra and Darian Bloodaxe. And the gunner dude who had supplied him that contradicts the dude's claim, and that's why the Cinder dude's killed. And then we see that Noble's trying to order Gunner to prepare the grain for them in 10 weeks, and that it would be pretty much all the grain, and they would be left to be fucked. Pretty much. It's like, shit. So Cora pretty much is either going to try and run, but then decides after we see pretty much the troop that was left behind to try and drum up warriors. We also get some stuff sprinkled throughout that the troops that were left behind had this robot that was very loyal to the previous king, and that Issa, the princess, was evidently supposed to have like these life powers. We see that in a flashback that Cora was part of the Imperium, an adopted daughter of Belisarius, and would go around and do bad shit, and then tried to protect Issa, and that there's some shit that went on there with the like killing of the royal family, and now she's kind of out. She also lost one of her lovers, but it still takes a lot of time to kind of just even get through that. So she does an awesome kind of action scene, and one of the dudes kind of defects and kind of helps her, and so does the robot, and they take them all out, and she's, alright, her and Gunner team up, they go to pretty much the one city, and then it's just jumping from point to point. They get hooked up with this dude because they're trying to find Kay helps them kind of like try and figure out what's kind of going on, and then just kind of hop around getting people. They get this Tarak guy who's got this, it's really kind of weird. It's like he's got this debt, but he's supposed to break this kind of Griffin Harry Potter kind of thing, and we get that whole extended sequence, and then the thing kills the dude that was left there. It's like, yeah, you only said that he needed to ride it, not that you needed to be able to ride it. And we jump to, who is it? We get to Titus and Nemesis. We see that the like Nemesis woman's got things that are kind of like lightsabers because they turn on, and she has this fight with this spider kind of woman thing, and it echoes like Seven Samurai and Magnificent Seven, but those are done vastly superior here than to here because it doesn't draw me in, and there's not really much else put onto these characters other than the typical archetypes of them. That's fine, but do something with them. Like, seeing the different kind of archetypes in the Magnificent Seven and Seven Samurai are different. You know who they kind of are, and they kind of have a flavor that's kind of added to the movie. I don't really get that out of this. I'm just like, I don't really care about these characters. And it's not because of the actors, because there's a vast array of actors here that just I've seen in movies that I've liked better. It's like, that's why I didn't go completely down on this, and that the actors at least try and do what they can with the material that they're provided and the direction that they're provided. And I'm like, I've seen most of these in better films, and it's like, okay. I mean, Anthony Hopkins voices the robot, and it's like, wow, that's really a waste, because it literally disappears for a good fucking chunk of the movie and then comes back at the end. And that's a real problem, because we go boop, 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 point, point. And then we kind of go back. It's like, what's the timeline here? Why am I coming back to this noble dude? It's like, odd. Which, it's fine to check in, but it's like, what the hell? So, this takes up the bulk of the runtime, getting everybody together. And then Kai fucking betrays them. It's like, oh yes, I pretty much wanted to gather all these kind of assholes together for the Imperium and turn them over. It's like, okay, cool. Like, I would have liked a little bit of foreshadowing of him having kind of doubts or whatnot. I don't mind a surprise heel turn. Dude pretty much said he was an opportunist as well. I mean, but I would have liked to have seen him actually doing stuff rather than just telling us. You know what I mean? Let's see him have like a nervous ticker looking at the people over and trying to see what's kind of going on and trying to listen in or whatnot, or having some kind of weird secretive communique or whatnot. Anything along those realms to showcase, if not to the people involved, like Core, but at least to the audience to be like, what the fuck's kind of going on here? And again, I don't mean spelling out like he writes, I am betraying the motherfuckers. I mean just like him shifting and being uncomfortable or whatnot, or just trying to be cheerful at a kind of weird, somber moment when it's like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, it just felt like, okay, he needs to betray him, and then we see him fight. We see one dude try to go at one of these ships with a fucking spear, because they also got the Blood Axe dude, because they needed the rebels' help, and he's like, oh, I'll go and have some of my people, pretty much his cannon fodder, which is played by the dude that played Cyborg, Ray Fisher, in the Justice League, and he is stupidly killed. He, like, goes up against this kind of thing with a fucking spear thing. It's like, whatever. Again, I don't mind the futility of it. It just was like, what the shit? And then we get a fight scene between Korra and Noble, and she stabs the shit out of him and knocks him off of this Bespin kind of fucking thing, and evidently he doesn't fucking die. We get, like, Vader kind of scene. Titus is like, oh, we did a great victory here today, blah, 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 blah. And then they went back to Velt, and they're like, the Tarok dude's like, oh, this would have been a beautiful place to die. It's like, we got a part 2 coming. Maybe even a part, like, 76. I don't know. If they just let Zack Snyder go fucking kind of ham with it, we'll see how that kind of goes. I'm not really interested to see it and what's kind of going on. And then the Noble dude gets hooked up to this thing and is like, he's alive, but barely. He's not stable. Send him to the Belisarius dude. He's like, I want you to capture my daughter so we can pretty much crucify her in public. And if you can't, I'm going to do it to you instead. It's like, alright. Doing some ethereal kind of stuff, but I don't know if it's like he's got powers or if he only has that because of the fucking Matrix ass shit that they pulled. And that's the end of it. It's like, alright. I really didn't care for this, mainly because I had seen stuff like this done before and done better. Do I mind seeing another kind of take on sci-fi inspired by Star Wars? Hell no. I'm fine with that kind of stuff. I want to see what other kind of imaginings that Star Wars can inspire in other people. This was just like, it just did all the Zack Snyder stuff that I really didn't care for. Strange action scene cuts. Strange use of slow-mo. Overuse of slow-mo. Fucking lens flare for blaster fire. It's already light, and I can understand why usually, like, Star Wars and Star Trek don't go too heavy on the flare on that, because it can, like, fuck over the scene. You put that flare on a slow-mo scene, it just, it fucks with me, and I'm like, well, that's kind of stupid. I really wouldn't recommend this because not much really happens here. I mean, you get the drawing of everybody involved, but it's like, that's pretty much all that's accomplished. Other than that, you pretty much get plot dumps that really didn't need to be as long and could have been better integrated into everything, because it's like we get to a certain point, pick up, flashback, pick up, flashback kind of effect. It's like, alright, light drop of kind of backstory of Nemesis, lost children, tried to attack the Imperium, now she tries to help other people. Tarok had debt, settled debt. Titus went against the Imperium, now is pretty much as a gladiator and trying to atone for his sins, and now is trying to atone for his sins again. Korra, part of the Imperium, gone out of it. It just... there wasn't anything that, like, drew me into this kind of take on it. And it sucks. Like, if you're into it, that's cool. If you enjoyed it and had fun with it, again, I'm not trying to shit on your stuff. That's cool. Enjoy it. Be happy for part 2 that's coming out in April. I'm good. And I'm pretty much good on Zack Snyder stuff. It just doesn't really fit and flow with me. Which sucks, because I did like Dawn of the Dead and 300. Those worked for me. Those I really liked as films. But, I think Zack Snyder needs to be someone that needs to be reined in on certain kind of things. Kind of like Taika Waititi. You can get him and get him on a nice kind of groove, get his creative juices flowing, and like working within a certain kind of thing. Yeah, you get your Thor Ragnarok, your Dawn of the Dead, your 300, and you're like, yeah. But then if you let him loose, you get stuff that's just like completely nutty doodah with your like his. I did not gel with his take on the DCU, and I did not gel with his take here. Like, I did not really gel with Taika Waititi's take with Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm like, what? Hello? What's going on here? So, I really wouldn't recommend this, because the action scenes are and the characters are and if you've got to wait till part 2 to get really invested in characters, I don't know, man. That's a lot of investment to make, because this is a 2 hour and 15-minute movie. Give or take the credits and everything. And it's just like, I didn't get invested. That happens. So, those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.